I remember the camels wouldn't move. Not at first, they just stopped. Heads low, legs stiff. One of them made a sound I hadn't heard before, like it didn't want to breathe too deeply. We were maybe a day out from our destination. Nothing but flat, open desert. The kind of place where you can see everything, except what's under your feet. That's when I noticed the sand. It wasn't the wind, but about 20 meters ahead of us, the surface of the sand started to shift. Subtle at first, like a tremor passing through it. Then it grew into a ripple, a line moving just beneath the sand coming towards us. One of the older men with me, he didn't say anything. He just grabbed my arm and pulled me back hard. "Don't move," he said. Not loud, just panicked, just certain. The ripple stopped. For a moment, everything went still again. No sound, no wind. Even the camels went quiet. Then it broke the surface. Only part of it, maybe half its length. Thick, red, wrong. Not like any animal I've ever seen. No head that I could make out, no eyes. Just a blunt end, slick looking, like something that wasn't meant to be in the open air. It didn't thrash, it didn't hiss. It just held there. And I had the distinct feeling it wasn't looking at us, but it knew exactly where we were. The man next to me whispered, "If it rises fully, we run." I didn't ask why. The thing shifted slightly, and the sand around it darkened, like something wet had touched it. I thought of stepping back just one step, but my legs wouldn't listen. But then one of the camels made a sharp, panicked cry. The thing dropped, gone, just like that. Straight down into the sand, as if the desert had just swallowed it up. Then the ripple came back, faster this time, not toward me, toward the camel. We didn't wait. I remember running without direction, just away, the kind of running where you don't think about the desert or distance or anything except not being where you were. The camel's noise stopped almost instantly. Not faded, just stopped. We didn't go back for it. No one suggested it. Hours later, when we finally stopped, one of the men drew a shape in the sand with his finger. Short, thick, no features. "Allghoi Khorhoi," he said. No one argued. And no one slept that night. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Common Anomaly podcast. I'm your host, Stuart James. Joining me today is Clayton James. You're listening to Season 3, Episode 8. How's it going, brother?
It's going good. I'm back from vacation. I'm rested. I'm refreshed.
That's right. It feels like it's been a long time. But yeah, you're just freshly back from vacation. Do you want to tell us about it?
Wasn't too much to tell. We didn't go on any crazy adventures.
Well, that's a shame.
Or anything like that. It was just very restful.
Oh, that's great. I wish I could say the same. Yeah, it feels like it's been forever since we've recorded an episode. We were supposed to record last week, and it was a good 3 weeks before that because we kind of worked ahead because you were going away. Shit kind of hit the fan last weekend, and we couldn't record because my dog was having knee surgery, and you were under the weather, and so we're trying to get this one under the wire. It almost feels weird to be recording an episode again, but I'm happy we're back to it. It's been a long week. I'm really tired, but I'm going to rally for this episode. I'm excited for this topic. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really fun one today, the Mongolian Death Worm.
Yeah.
Nice, lighthearted topic so you can forget all the troubles in the world. I really love that we're not a current events show, you know?
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Sometimes it feels weird because there's so much going on in the world. How are we not talking about some of these things? But I'm hoping that our show is your little escape from all that noise, and you can just come here and listen to something fun and entertaining, you know, about one of the weird topics we cover. But before we dive into stuff, I just want to do a shout out for this episode. because it's our mother's birthday next week.
Yeah.
And we're bi-weekly now, so we don't do weekly episodes. So this is the nearest episode to her birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. We love you. And we'll see you next week at your party.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to dive in?
Yeah.
How are we going to start this? Mongolian Death Worm. What is that?
Have you ever seen the movie Dune?
Oh, yeah.
I actually haven't.
You haven't seen Dune?
Like any of them.
Any of them?
I've seen parts of
the new ones or the old ones?
The old ones. Like the old ones, the ones that had Patrick Stewart in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen
parts
of those.
There's just one.
Yeah, I've seen parts of that one, I guess.
That's a difficult movie to watch.
I hear it's really long.
Yeah, it's long and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's batshit crazy is what it is. It's really wild. You should watch it sometime.
Yeah, I might after this episode. Yeah. But anyway, you know those giant sandworms in Dune?
Yep.
Guard the spice, or did they produce the spice? I don't know.
They produce the spice.
They got something to do with the spice. Anyway, those giant sandworms. It's often said that they were inspired by this cryptid we're going to talk about today, the Mongolian Death Worm. Although there is some contention whether this cryptid inspired the creature from the movie or whether the creature from the movie actually inspired some of the expeditions to look for this creature.
I see.
We'll get into that. There's some confusion there. Also, the inspiration behind the movie Tremors. Which, yeah, I've seen that movie. I know you've seen that movie.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon. That's an old standard. I don't know how many times I've seen that movie just on like late night reruns on TV when that was a thing people did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, love Tremors. Great movie.
Yeah. So where did you want to start? Do you want to start with our Captain Ahab of the story, this adventurer, Ivan Mccurl?
Sure, why not? You did a lot of research on him. I've got very little. I've got very kind of cursory stuff on him. So, why don't you lead us off with that?
So, Ivan Mccurl, he was a Czech explorer. He was born in 1942. So, as a child, he really loved kind of adventure books. Think of the magazine Weird Tales that published all of H.P. Lovecraft.
Right.
You know, stories. There were Soviet versions of such magazines, pulp magazines. They were all banned. So if you were a fan, you had to be a fan of them secretly.
Right.
So as a kid, he would secretly read all these pulp adventure stories. And he was a big fan. You know, in his teenage years, he attended university. He became a mechanical engineer. He worked as a designer of automobiles for a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, his big passion that he wanted to pursue was being an adventurer, an explorer. And he got really into, like, cryptozoology.
Yeah.
And he would travel around. What do you call it? Is it Czechia or the Czech Republic?
Yeah, okay.
I think both are acceptable. He would travel around and other places in the Soviet Union kind of looking for adventure. There's this story of him buying this modified World War II amphibious Jeep.
Okay.
It was called it was made by Volkswagen. It was called a Schwimmwagen. It was like an amphibious Jeep. And he would travel around.
A Schwimmwagen?
A Schwimmwagen, yeah. Because it's amphibious. It
I love that.
Yeah.
I want one.
Yeah, you can look up a picture of it. It's really cool.
Just for that name, I want one.
Yeah, actually,
after
the fall of the Soviet Union, you know, he gained a huge like fan base in the West, and he would travel around and he'd bring his Schwimmwagen with him to like conventions and stuff to meet fans. But yeah, he would travel around in this modified German World War II amphibious military vehicle looking for adventure. He like traveled around Czechoslovakia looking for the castle of Count Dracula.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Eventually he
Indiana Jones.
Yeah. He had to get permission from, you know, the Soviet government to actually leave the Soviet Union. Eventually he got permission and he traveled to Scotland because he really wanted to investigate the Loch Ness monster.
Okay, yeah.
And he kind of met some other cryptozoologists.
Oh, so a fellow Fortean researcher.
Yeah, he met some other cryptozoologists there and kind of compared notes and techniques, and he was really impressed by the kind of the photographic techniques of some other cryptozoologists that were there, and it really inspired him. But the creature he became obsessed with was the Mongolian Death Worm. So he had first read about this creature in the journals of another famous adventurer named Roy Chapman, who is often cited as the inspiration for the character Indiana Jones.
I feel like every historical explorer of this area is labeled as the inspiration for Indiana Jones.
Well, he's a composite. He's a composite, but
it kind of feels like it was just a way of life in this
Yeah.
era, in the early, maybe late 1800s, early 1900s, as you just went out, would be a badass adventurer. It was just a life choice back then.
Well, I mean, air travel was a new thing, but the world was starting to really open up.
Yeah.
So there's this just rare generation of these adventurers
Yeah.
who
Men of the world.
going where, not a lot of people had gone before. And, Roy Chapman was one of the more famous ones. But there's an account in his journals of a 1920s expedition to Mongolia. He wasn't there specifically looking for this creature, but he heard about this creature. And it's kind of just mentioned in his journals that local herders in the Gobi Desert were telling him to be very careful of this creature that lived in the desert. A creature of supernatural evil.
Yeah. And very specific areas as well.
Yeah.
I got that right? Yeah.
Yeah. There was just certain parts of the desert you don't go.
Yeah.
Because this very dangerous creature lives out there. And rarely seen, typically avoids humans, but incredibly hostile and incredibly aggressive.
Deadly.
And incredibly deadly if encountered. And
Isn't that kind of the legend of this creature? Is that's why there's never been one captured or any real documented sightings or pictures? Is because basically everyone who encounters it dies.
yeah,
It's pretty lethal.
Yeah, let's talk about this creature, the Mongolian Death Worm. In pop culture, it's often depicted very much like the sandworm in Dune, like this giant Leviathan-like creature.
Yeah.
Not so much. Described as being about 7 feet long,
Yep.
about as thick as a human arm.
Yeah.
Basically, a giant, kind of deep red colored
So we're
worm.
kind of in python territory, like a medium-sized snake.
Not a medium sized,
to
like a
large size
quite
snake.
large sized snake, but
I guess
definitely
7 feet is pretty long.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the length of a person plus.
Yeah. Definitely on the larger side of snakes.
Yeah.
But deep red, blood-like color, basically often described as basically looking like a giant intestine filled with blood.
And that's the origin of the name, right? Because, Mongolian Death Worm is a Western label, but the actual term is Allghoi Khorhoi or something like that. I said it in the cold open. I can't remember now.
You said it in the cold open.
I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have it here in front of me. Let me pull it up.
But I believe the translation of the term
means
is intestine.
Yeah, it means like giant intestine worm.
Intestine, yeah.
Basically.
So no eyes or anything like that.
Yeah,
not even a mouth, just kind of like a long, red-looking stump thing.
Yeah, it didn't have a very discernible head, but it had like this giant maw when it opened its quote-unquote mouth.
Right.
And incredibly deadly, burrowed under the sand. Would only emerge when it rained. If encountered, it could spit this incredibly
poisonous venom.
Yeah, poisonous venom that would basically kill you instantly. It could also emit like an electrical discharge.
Right.
And basically shock you, like paralyze you from a distance.
Yeah, wow.
It's also said to have like an instant death curse.
Right.
Basically, it's said amongst the locals that just seeing one of these creatures dooms you to die out there in the desert.
Wow.
No one has seen one and lived, is what they tell. But Roy Chapman, he documented this in his journals, and he was fascinated by how consistent the stories of this creature were. Amongst people, very nomadic people live in the Gobi Desert. Not a lot of people live there.
Yeah.
The people that do, they're these nomadic tribes of herders. They herd, sheep and goats and camels and
kind of desert Bedouins sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, very nomadic people and very spread out. Don't really interact with each other all that much, and they all told this remarkably consistent tale of this creature. To them, it wasn't a legend. It was a fact of life. Yeah. They tell you to avoid this creature like, the geese. Yeah, don't get near the geese. Don't antagonize the geese.
Yeah, geese are jerks.
They'll chase after you, you know.
And I believe, wasn't it that first explorer you mentioned? And what are the dates? What's the epoch we're looking at here?
So Roy Chapman, he was exploring the Gobi in the early 1920s.
Yeah, and it was him. It was the president of Mongolia, wasn't it? Or something like that? Or the prime minister who had told him, we want you to go and actually catch one of these things and bring back evidence of it. Or is that the other guy?
I believe that's Ivan Mccurl. Because
okay, I've got the stories mixed up.
In Roy Chapman's journals, this creature is almost kind of a footnote. It's like it's an odd tale that the locals tell. But Ivan Mccurl, he became obsessed with this, and he was really fascinated.
There's a difference in time here. So he's in the 1990s.
Yeah, well, he first read about this creature at some point in probably the 60s or 70s.
Okay.
But he could only actually go to the Gobi and start exploring after the fall of the Soviet Union. So his first expedition there, I believe it was in 1990.
Yeah. I love how he went about it. It seems like it was very kind of half-baked. And he just kind of went out there with some like equipment and the tools that he fashioned himself without really a plan per se.
So his first expedition was a little bit half-baked. It was more of a fact-finding mission. His future expeditions get a little more advanced.
Sophisticated.
Yeah. Again, just like Roy Chapman, interviewed a lot of the locals. He was really fascinated by how consistent this story was of this creature, how consistent the description of this creature was, but it seemed he couldn't find any actual person who had directly seen one. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows someone that's seen it, or knows someone that knows someone.
Everyone knows the story, but no one's actually got first-hand experience.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Just seeing it dooms you to death, basically. So no one's actually seen it, but they all tell this remarkably consistent story of it, which is kind of odd with like cryptids.
Yeah.
Usually descriptions will vary from region to region what this creature looks like. The Wendigo they tell of Ontario.
Yeah.
A little different from the Wendigo that's told about in Alberta.
Well, and that doesn't necessarily detract from credibility. Because if you think about the most classic, probably well-known cryptid in the world, Bigfoot or Sasquatch, there are sightings all over the world, and they differ regionally, but you could argue the same way that a species of bear would differ. A polar bear is different from a black bear.
Yeah.
Right? And the Australian yowie is a little different from the Oregon skunk ape. Right? Mm-hmm. But it makes sense that there would be that local breed. So maybe that's all it is. But for this particular cryptid, it's locked to a very specific geographical region.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that the legend of it and its description would remain very consistent.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, his first expedition in the 90s, he interviewed a lot of the locals and he heard these stories. Actually, it was during his first expedition that he says he describes having this dream where he encountered the death worm in a dream.
Okay.
And when he awoke, he was covered in like these weird boils all over the back of his neck. And he was like, what is that? What is that? This is real. Something's happening to me.
And what actually happened to him?
This death worm's getting in my head. No, that was the beginning of his obsession.
Oh, okay.
Because he was convinced.
Well, did he ever find out what the rash was or the boils?
I never found out.
It doesn't say.
I know towards the end of his life, he had a lot of health problems. When did he pass away? In 2013. But I don't know what that actually was. But he was convinced that the Mongolian death worm was, as the locals had said, a creature of supernatural evil.
Wow.
He actually traveled to a Buddhist monastery in the Gobi, and that's what the monks told him there too. Creature of supernatural evil. Do not go into the desert. Do not seek out this creature. It will kill you dead.
Right.
It's not messing around. But anyway, that was the beginning of, his true obsession. It's like, this is real. I have to find it. Because often, he approached this very much with an open mind, but a very scientific, skeptical mind.
Yeah.
He was
out to prove it if it was there to prove.
Yeah. But yeah, he became convinced this was real.
Yeah.
So he leads further expeditions. He would release like documentaries on television, on Czech television.
Oh yeah.
Of his adventures looking for this worm.
Oh, I wish I'd found some of those. Did you watch any?
No, I couldn't find any. But anyway, his 1992 return expedition, a bit more elaborate, because I guess he had recently seen the movie Dune. I'm not sure which version, because there's been like 3 versions of it, I think.
Yeah.
But he saw that movie. I believe in the story Dune, they used these devices like thumpers to lure the worms to the surface.
That's right. Yeah.
So he tried out the exact same thing to shake loose this.
I just brought a big jackhammer out into the desert and started pounding away.
It was some sort of device.
Yeah.
You know.
That he contrived on his own.
On the first expedition, he just used explosives.
And so
he just set off explosives. But in the second, he brought this elaborate device he called a thumper.
Yeah. So he was inspired by Dune, not Dune inspired by his adventures.
But if you
it makes sense though. If you've got a subterranean animal that's got no eyes or ears, that reportedly, probably seismic vibration. The same thing in tremors, right? Kind of makes sense.
But it gets a little tricky to figure out what inspired what, because a lot of contemporary cryptozoologists, when they talk about this creature, they'll talk about how it was the inspiration for the creatures in the movie Dune, which could be because what was the novel written in like the 60s, I think?
I have no idea.
I think the novel was written in the 60s, but Roy Chapman was talking about this creature since the 1920s. But as far as Ivan Mccurl, he was definitely inspired by the movie Dune in his approach to looking for this creature. He didn't really have any luck.
No.
I think the attempt is entertaining.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea. And the dynamite, too.
Yeah.
Classic. I'm searching for something that's very hard to find. I'll just set off some dynamite. That'll draw it to me.
Yeah. He brings this thumper with him. I believe on this expedition is when he kind of gets in the air for the first time. He starts doing a lot of aerial photography. But mostly he just collects stories. All these stories from locals who are all terrified of this creature. But they accept it very much as a fact of life.
Yeah.
It is real. It is as real as any other animal out there in the desert. But no one's ever seen one. Interesting. But he led his final expedition out there in 2004. This was like his largest and best funded one. He assembled this huge international team, made like a big media spectacle of it, and again came back empty-handed, unfortunately. But he really wanted to do further expeditions because he was convinced this was real. It's just elusive.
Yeah.
It's just so elusive. Towards the 2010s, his health unfortunately started failing. He developed some heart problems, and he just couldn't carry on this adventuring lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
Right towards the very end of his life, he conceded that maybe the worm isn't actually real. Maybe it's a kind of madness that affects people out in the isolation of the desert.
Okay.
He talked about how
like a mirage.
Yeah, the worm is said to spit this toxic venom at people. There might be pockets of gas trapped underground that might occasionally come to the surface and emit these noxious fumes out in the desert.
And just
people see the ground moving and they think, oh, there's a creature down there.
Right. But it could just be geological and gas being released.
And sometimes you get sandstorms, and just, I guess, the static from these sandstorms can produce like electricity, like lightning.
Yeah.
And people will attribute these things that are natural out in the desert to a creature, right?
Right. Yeah.
Especially if they're out in this very isolated place on their own.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned electricity, because I want to see if we can kind of tease apart the plausibility or the ways in which this could be a real creature in a minute here. But I think you're right, and I think it's entirely possible that it could just be confused with other creatures that have similar traits. Like there definitely are desert snakes that could fit the bill, or even a scorpion. Scorpions are very poisonous and live in arid climates like deserts. I had a thought about the electricity, and like you said, static just discharge. If you had a creature of substantial size, you even see this in Dune when the big creatures is surfacing from the desert sand, and there's just so much silicate in the air. It's kicks up so much silicate that there's lightning strikes and sparks. And yeah, that's maybe not a supernatural quality that the animal itself has, but just is a byproduct of the fact that it's moving through the substrate of the sand.
Yeah.
And it's being mistaken as this aspect of the creature itself,
Mm-hmm.
when really it just might be a byproduct of its locomotion.
Yeah.
And definitely there are creatures that are bioelectric. You have electric eels.
Yeah.
You know, you have stingrays. There are animals that can discharge an electric shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not totally outside the realm of possibility. This still could be a real creature.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Oh, I'm totally convinced it's real.
Oh, really?
I am 100% convinced it's a real creature.
Are you just saying that for the show? Because what are you basing that on?
I have kind of a wild theory.
Okay, I love to hear it.
When you're ready for it.
I'm ready for it now.
Are you ready for
Yeah.
it? My crazy theory.
Yeah.
Okay. The Gobi Desert. Okay?
Okay.
What?
So for everyone, the Gobi Desert is a massive desert that straddles the border of northern China and Mongolia.
Yeah. Takes up most of Mongolia, actually, and some of China. So, what else is going on in the Gobi Desert? Basically, the Chinese government has used the Gobi Desert for a long time as basically a blank slate for all of its black sites. It's where they've conducted their nuclear tests. It's where they've tested their ballistic missiles. They've got these entire fake cities built out there that they do weapons tests on.
Yeah.
They've tested, in theory, a bit more conspiratorial, like directed energy weapons out there.
Right. Yeah.
Supposedly they have all sorts of crazy underground city-sized bunkers out there. Just a blank slate for all their black sites because it's so inhospitable. And it's so big.
Yeah. Where do the Americans put their secret installations? It's all in the desert, right?
The Americans we'll circle back to them in a bit.
Okay. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Giant blank slate for all their black sites, nuclear tests, and directed energy weapons, and God knows what else. All sorts of weird stuff going on out there in the desert. What if that is what created this creature? Now I hear you about to say, but they've been telling stories about this creature as far back as memory goes.
That's right.
For these people, right?
Yeah.
Since like the 11th century or something, the nomadic people of the Gobi have been telling tales of this creature. Now, think back to a few episodes ago. We were talking about holographic universe theory.
Yes.
Which was a great episode, and everyone should go back and listen to it.
Yes, not enough people listen to that episode.
Because it did not get as many listens as I thought it deserved, but I thought it was a great episode. Anyway, one of the consequences of that theory was that linear time is an illusion. Past, present, and future all exist in a superposition.
Okay.
So, let's say all these things, nuclear tests, directed energy weapons, God knows what else. What if that kind of leaves a stain on time? A stain on that area that echoes both forwards and backwards in time.
All right.
That's what created the creature. The creature is a manifestation of all these things focused on that specific geographic area.
So you think it's a nuclear mutant like Godzilla, sort of, but then also time travel to the past to be experienced by ancient Mongolian people and integrate into their culture? Is that your theory?
It's not that literal. It's not like a creature that was mutated by radiation.
That's what I got from your story.
And it didn't literally time travel.
It just left a stain.
It's
on
whatever
time.
Weird science they're doing out there has affected this geographic location in such a way that it affects all of time. And you know what? Back to the Americans.
Yeah.
We were talking about a few episodes back. We were talking about Area 52. Because Area 51 must connect to all these other secret facilities.
Yep.
And one of the facilities we talked about as a candidate was the Dugway Proving Ground.
Yep.
The U.S. does all kinds of crazy, God knows what they test out there. They were testing, chemical weapons, germ warfare, and then later on, all sorts of other stuff no one knows about.
Yeah.
Dugway Proving Ground, that's Skinwalker territory.
And we also talked about, on a previous episode, the Montauk Project.
Yeah.
Which kind of interdimensional doorways open up to let all kinds of demonic creatures into our realm. maybe this is one of those.
But I mean, like, the idea of these cryptids being kind of just manifestations of certain events that happened in that location somewhere in time, past or future, to me that kind of tracks. Like, look at Mothman, right? What is Mothman? What does Mothman do? Mothman is a harbinger of imminent disaster.
Yeah, he's like an omen.
Yeah. Mothman will appear before some great calamity strikes that area.
You know, I really wanted to do a Mothman episode. Last year, on one of your vacations when you're going to be away, I was planning on doing a Mothman solo episode, and it just got backburnered for something else.
I'm surprised we haven't done a Skinwalker episode yet.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff we have yet to do. I mean, we got a lot of ideas swirling around.
Yeah.
There's no lack of subject matter for us to get into. But definitely Mothman. We got to remember that one on the list.
And you know what?
Audience, let us know. Jump in the comments and tell us what stories you want to hear next.
Yes.
Especially cryptids. We don't do tons of cryptid episodes. I'm really happy we're doing one today. I would really like to know from the audience, do you like cryptid content? Last week we did ghost content. That seemed to be very unpopular, at least last week. Let us know. Do you want more ghost stories? Do you want more cryptid stories? Personally, I love the cryptid stuff. Last time you came back from vacation, you brought me a gift, a book of cryptids. I was really disappointed the Mongolian Death Worm wasn't in there because it was specifically of the Americans.
Yeah, it was specifically North American ones. Yeah.
But I was skimming through it because I thought, I'll see what's in here when we came up with this idea. There's tons of great stuff in there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got to do more cryptid stuff if the audience is on board. Sorry, I digress.
No, that was a good segue.
Thanks.
Anyway, what do you think of my crazy unified theory of cryptids that explains why the Mongolian Death Worm is 100% real, absolutely, and not just some sort of sand boa that's being mistaken for
it sounds pretty weak if you ask me.
No, I thought that was great. Here's another thing.
Okay, you got more evidence.
Not evidence, just an odd coincidence. Because I don't know. We were talking about the Nahanni Valley a while back, and I don't know if this actually made it into the show or if it's just something we talked about. But we were talking about how all these areas that are supposedly entrances to the Hollow Earth,
right? Yes,
happen to be UNESCO sites.
Right. Yes, I remember. We did talk about this on the show. Or we may have just very briefly touched on it.
Because you had this whole theory that UNESCO was actually a front for setting up containment zones.
Exactly, around these paranormal areas.
Yeah. Gobi Desert.
UNESCO
site.
Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. You're winning me over.
So again, you can clearly see this creature is without a doubt 100% real.
Okay.
And Dune is based on a true story, as is Tremors.
Well, and there's a lot of other, if you think about it, there's all kinds of pop culture content that bring about this idea of the sandworm. Immediately, Beetlejuice comes to mind as well.
Yeah.
You got the sandworms and Beetlejuice. My personal favorite is the Thresher Maws from Mass Effect. I'm a huge Mass Effect
those two.
fan. And actually, the Thresher Maws in Mass Effect, they actually really resemble one of the animals I looked up where I was trying to find, are there real archaeological, prehistory analogs to this creature? I was trying to figure out, could this be a real creature that exists? And probably the most prominent thing I found that fits the bill the best is a bobbit worm. Have you ever heard of bobbit worm?
No.
They're an aquatic species of worm, but they actually have like these two mandible jaw clenching things and all these little tendrils that stick out of its mouth. Mm-hmm. It'll bury itself in the sand. It's only about 3 centimeters in diameter, but they can get up to 3 meters long.
Oh, wow.
And they bury themselves in the substrate at the bottom of the ocean. And then when a fish happens along, they'll dart up and snatch it and drag it down into the sand and consume it. And they're horrifying looking, but they look a lot like the Thresher Maws from Mass Effect.
Cool.
So there are creatures like this out there, So it's not totally unfounded. It's not so crazy when you break it down.
It's not at all outside the realm of believability that this creature exists, supernatural or not. It does not need to be a supernatural creature. Just be an animal that has an extreme aversion to humans.
Yeah.
But may be extremely hostile
and if it
when
lives
encountered.
subterraneanly,
Yeah.
if it lives in the sand, it's not somewhere we're going. And especially an isolated climatological pocket of our Earth with very specific conditions, it makes sense that, especially conditions that are so inhospitable to humans, that something could reside there.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
as explored as most of the world is, we still find new species
all the time. Yeah.
We find them all the time. We still have tribes of humans that are uncontacted.
Yeah.
Still living basically in the Stone Age.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's lots of space out there
Yeah.
for things to have an existence without it all being a... And if you think about the legends of dragons, right? How far in history does that go? And like, you have a mental image, probably a very cartoony one, of what a dragon looks like. But if you look at the oldest tales of and go into Asia, what are dragons? They're more serpentine.
Yeah.
They're like big snakes with these ornate whiskers and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But do you know what the Old English word for dragon is?
I don't
It's
know.
worm. But like WYRM. Another just interesting historical coincidence.
H.P. Lovecraft talks about giant worms a lot, but he does spell it
WYRM?
Yeah, W-Y-R-M, yeah.
Yeah. That's the Old English for dragon,
Yeah.
basically. A big lizard-like serpent. And there's worm serpents that are basically snakes that because they do live in sand and kind of will live underground. They only have very rudimentary eyes and ears. So they kind of look like a worm, but actually it's a reptile.
Cool.
There was another one that was a really good, what was it called? Oh, it's escaping me now. It's the Indus, I think it's the Indus worm. It's another legend of like a megafauna super worm that had like 2 mandible claws in its mouth. That was super deadly.
I think once we start making some money, we should take an expedition
I would love to do an expedition.
to some of these
Not
places.
to the Gobi Desert.
Maybe not to the Gobi, but to some of these places we've talked about, like the Nahanni or Utah.
I'm pretty sure we can manage Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start there. Let's start small.
Okay.
Okay. Well, do you have more?
Not really, no.
Not really?
No.
Okay, we're a little short. I don't think this needs to be a crazy long episode, but maybe I can blow your mind with one more thing.
Yeah,
here.
I'm surprised you poo-pooed my...
It's a great theory.
My
It's a great theory, don't get me wrong.
My space-time superposition theory of cryptids.
But you know what it
I
lacks?
thought it was good.
You know what it lacks is actual proof. So, I mean, we had extra time for this episode, so I decided to do some really above and beyond investigative research.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and I have hard evidence of the existence of the Mongolian death worm.
You have hard evidence.
Hard evidence.
Is this evidence here? Is it in that little bag on the table?
It's not in this bag on the table, no. You might have noticed me bring this box into the room
I didn't notice you
when we
bring
came
that box.
upstairs. Yeah. So I went on from a tip from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's from northern China. And I went on the Mongolese dark web and spent an absurd amount of Bitcoin. And I got my hands on a real specimen of Mongolian death worm.
Are you playing with a full deck?
It's in this box right here. It's not alive. It's dead. Apparently you grind it up and the powder is an aphrodisiac. But yeah, why don't you take a look?
What is this weird thing you bought on Temu? You bought something weird on Temu. It convince me it's a... What the hell? This looks gross, whatever it is. What is that?
It's Mongolian death worm.
It looks really gross. I'm afraid to touch that.
Do you believe it? Take it out, examine it. Don't be afraid. I'm pretty sure it's dead.
Looks freaking... What the hell? What is this?
I told you, Mongolian death worm. You don't believe me?
This is something you picked up at the butcher shop and threw in your freezer. This is like cow guts or something.
You know what it is? It's elk trachea.
Oh yeah, this is one of Phoebe, not Phoebe, sorry.
Yeah, we get that for the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually get beef trachea, but that one was extra red, and I thought it would sell the illusion better.
Trying to trick me. Well, I'm glad you didn't buy that off Temu.
Yeah.
Or the Mongolian dark web.
Yeah.
Because that is sketchy looking.
I was hoping to get a bigger reaction from you. But, yeah, I just thought that would be fun.
I'm a cautious cat. I don't reach into weird Temu boxes and grab...
We can give that to Zeno when we go back downstairs.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll love that.
Okay, all right. Well, I think we can wrap it up. It's a little bit early for us. Kind of a short episode, but a really fun one. Do we have anything else we want to talk about on the way out? How's your band doing?
My band's doing great.
Yeah? They're racking up tons of views.
You might have noticed they contributed to the bumper music for this episode.
Oh, did they?
Yes,
Excellent.
and they've got a new song that's going to release at the exact same time as this episode.
Everyone should go check it out. Yeah. Did you see? There's been a bunch of stuff on AI music in the news lately, and Did you see Paul McCartney's thing? Oh, they're making some protest album against AI music, and
their album of silence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all these authors, they released a book of blank pages.
Yeah, that's right.
That they're actually selling and charging money for. Yeah, these are the people I have the least amount of sympathy for.
Yeah, and I'm a diehard Beatles fan. I love Paul McCartney and I love the Beatles, but I really don't understand what the point of releasing a 4-minute track of silence is, even as a protest. I'm not sure what they're trying to communicate there. It seems a little foolish to me. If you ask me, I don't think AI music is any real threat to actual musicians. People like making music. It's fun. People will always make music. It's like saying no one will ever buy groceries and make a meal for themselves ever again because McDonald's has arrived. No.
Yeah.
It'll supplement the world of music, but it won't take it over. Come on.
I was telling you earlier, the YouTube analytics, it provides you with all this really fascinating but ultimately useless information.
Yeah.
My band, my top demographic for who's listening to my band.
Yeah.
Middle-aged to elderly Ukrainian women.
Oh.
That is my key demographic.
Makes sense.
So thank you, Ukraine.
The elderly women of Ukraine.
But I mean, honestly, AI music, it's new, it's different, it's a little threatening, but honestly, it's not I don't see it as a threat. I see it as just something new you can have fun being creative with, and honestly, it's not threatening real musicians because there's such a stigma about it. Honestly, I've had comments, I've shared a song with them or something and said, I really love that song. That's awesome. I say it's AI. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
That's the general reaction. There is a respect. There's a wholehearted respect people have for handmade, human-made content,
which is appropriate.
Yeah, the band, my pretend band. It's just something I'm having fun with. I'm having lots of fun with it, and the more I work on it, the more songs I make with it, the more I'm trying to put more of myself into it. I'm trying to rely less and less on AI tools in terms of the writing of the lyrics and the music. I was describing that to you earlier.
But it's been a springboard for you into this project.
Because I've actually done a bunch of schooling in writing music through the Berkeley College. But it was so long ago. And, I started making these songs with this band. And the first couple of songs is mostly ChatGPT was writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, why am I doing this? I know how to do this. I could do this better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start writing the lyrics. And now as I'm moving further along, I'm going to start writing some of the music too.
Yeah.
And just have the AI band cover it.
Yeah.
I'm even toying with the idea of incorporating some of my own playing into it. It's a springboard. It's actually gotten me kind of interested in music again after such a long time away from it.
Yeah.
I was never much of a performer.
Well,
I won't claim to be any kind of talented musician, but it's something I always, really enjoyed the writing part of it.
Yeah.
And it's just something I always had fun with.
It's totally fair to just be a studio musician, right?
Yeah.
But I think that stigma will fade. I think the stigma is tied to the novelty of it. Mm-hmm. Like, I think back to how big of a splash did the movie Toy Story make? Because it was the first fully digitally animated movie, right?
Yeah.
That was a big novelty at that point in time in the early 90s, whenever it was that Toy Story came out, right? But now pretty much every single animated movie you see is exactly that.
We've come so far. Advanced. I mean, look at Val Kilmer. But Val Kilmer just finished a movie, and he's dead.
Yeah.
It's an AI avatar of Val Kilmer that they've received permission to continue using. He can still appear in new movies.
Yeah, but there's a novelty to it, and to some that novelty is threatening, and to some other people it's exciting. But once the novelty fades, it'll just be prolificated and it'll become normalized. Mm-hmm. And it'll just be another normal medium that people use all the time. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to spin this into a new AI segment.
But anyway, please, people, go check out Riverman. I'm having a lot of fun making songs with that, and sometimes they might contribute some bumper music for us. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'll check it out too. I'm a little behind. I know there's been a few new tracks that came out. But yeah, let's wrap it up. I'm pretty sure Xena came through in that audio. She probably really wants that elk trachea.
Yeah, she can have it. It looks really gross.
Yeah. So I hope this episode was fun for everyone else. It was fun for us. I'm really glad it's Friday night and it's the weekend. It's been a hell of a week. So TGIF, everyone.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time. And good night.
Good night.